This screencast gives a brief overview of the integumentary system. The overall function of the integumentary system is protection. However, just saying that it functions for protection is not quite descriptive enough. There are lots of different things that the integumentary system, primarily the skin, do help us with within our body. The first is that it's a protective covering. It keeps foreign invaders from getting inside our body and acts as a first line of defense against any of these invaders. The skin aids in temperature regulation through things like sweating, vasodilation and vasoconstriction, and shivering. The skin has a waterproof outer coating which helps slow water loss from the inside. It houses sensory receptors for things like temperature, touch, and pain. Produces biochemicals such as sebum, which is oil, or sweat. It excretes wastes through our pores. And it is responsible or plays a role in vitamin D production. The integumentary system is made up of the skin, the subcutaneous layer or the hypodermis, accessory organs, hair, and nails. So the subcutaneous layer, or the hypodermis, can sometimes be classified as a third layer of skin. Sometimes it's listed all on its own. Accessory organs can include the hair and nails. We can put them in that category, as well as the glands. The skin is the largest organ in the body, and as I mentioned a couple minutes ago, it is a barrier between our body and the outside world. It keeps things out that should be out and things in that should be in. The skin is made up of two layers. Again, we can add a third layer with the hypodermis, but our text goes with two layers, so we will just talk about two layers of the skin. The epidermis, which is made up of stratified squamous epithelium, and the dermis, which is made up of areolar and dense connective tissues that have a lot of collagen and elastic fibers. When we look at this diagram here, we see it looks kind of similar to some of the general epithelium diagrams that we've seen. So in previous diagrams, we saw epithelium, connective tissue, and a basement layer in between. Here we have the epidermis and the dermis. So the epidermis is the epithelial tissue, and the dermis is the underlying connective tissue. The subcutaneous layer is also known as the hypodermis, sub meaning under, skin cutaneous meaning skin, and same thing, hypo meaning lower than, and dermis meaning dermis. So it's either under the skin or lower than the dermis. The collagen and elastic fibers are here in the subcutaneous layer, and they're going to just blend into the dermis. But most of the subcutaneous layer is made up of adipose or fat, which conserves body heat. It insulates our body. And then lastly, we get to our accessory organs. So you will again here see hair and nails. There are also lots of sensory receptors and exocrine glands. Exocrine glands, as opposed to endocrine glands, are going to excrete substances out of our body. Endocrine glands secrete substances into our body or within our body. These two types of glands that we'll talk about are sebaceous glands and sweat glands. So that is a brief overview of the integumentary system.